welcome back to my channel, Woodwine and Crafts. In today's video, we are going to start making a wood round sign. So this is going to be part one of two. Part one is going to get the wood round. We're going to sand it, stain it, and create the stencil for the sign. And in part two, we are going to apply the stencil, paint the stencil, and then do the finishing coats, hanging hardware on the back, and that is the whole process. So we're gonna head to Home Depot right now and go grab the wood round. I like to look at them and they're all different. So when I'm making signs, I try not to get ones that have all the knots in them because it will make stenciling much more difficult. So this one looks pretty good. This one's not too bad. The knot's down at the bottom, so that's gonna be okay. Let's look at this one. That one looks pretty good too. This has some like a different color in the wood, so the stain may take differently. So I think I'll probably end up doing this one. I got my wood round ready to sand. I will be using the Mirka sander, and I will be using 220 sand grits. All right, we are in Design Space in a new project, and we are going to make our stencil. The first thing I'm going to do is go over to my shapes and click on my circle to make the wood round. So it's an 18-inch wood round, but the actual measurement is 17.5. So I'm going to come up to the size and change it to 17.5. So now we have the actual measurement of our wood round. The next thing I'm going to do is go to my text box, and I actually need 3 text boxes. So I'm going to come over to just duplicate. For this stencil, I am going to have wording that goes all the way around the circle, and then I'm going to have wording in the middle. So this first text box is going to be very long, but then we will curve it to fit the shape of the wood round. So let's double click our text. we have our text written out, and now we are going to highlight it, and I'm going to change the font now to Book Antiqua. We're going to come to the curve, and this is where you can make it as round as you want it to be. We'll start with this, bring it smaller. Oh, I spelled. Always double check your spelling before you print anything, because I have definitely spelled something wrong before and I've had to redo it. All right, we'll start there. So I'm going to highlight both the circle and the text. I'm going to come up to a line and hit center. Now this is centered. The next text, which is going to be in the middle, is I'm going to come up to alignment and hit center, and this font is called Columbia, and this is a font that I downloaded from dafont.com. I want to change the line space between each line, so I'm going to come up to line space. I'm going to bring it to the center. I'm going to unlock it and just move it around until it's visually appealing. All right, and then the last text box is the actual verse. Baskerville, which I believe is also just a normal font. All right, to make sure everything is aligned, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select this text. I'm going to hold the shift down and the Be Strong one. I'm going to come up to align and hit center horizontally. So now those two texts are centered, and I'm going to attach. So while that's highlighted, I'm going to hold the shift key and then I'm going to hit the circle. I'm going to come up to align and hit center. So now we know that everything is centered because we have centered everything. To do this stencil, I'm going to end up having to cut this into 3 pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the centerpiece out and move it to the side. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to make 2 rectangles. So I'm going to cut I'm going to try and cut as close to center as possible on this design. And I should say the reason why I have to cut this into multiple pieces is if you look over here to your right, you're going to see 2 warning signs, and that means there's something wrong with the project. If you were to go click make it, like right here, make it, the project is incompatible, and the reason why is because it is too large to cut on your mat. So even if you click on the error sign, it says image is too large, reduce it. So here you can see that you can only cut vinyl 11.5 inches wide up to 23.5 inches long. That is why I'm going to have to cut this into 2 rectangles to fit onto 2 mats. So I'm going to minimize or hide the circle. I'm going to come over to shapes. I'm going to grab my square, and I will do this in 2 different colors to show you. So I'm going to unlock it, and I'm also going to right click and send it to back so we'll be able to see. So my goal is to cut like this. So now you can see that this rectangle is 8.8 and then 16.8, which is perfect to cut. Now we have to make the top rectangle. Okay, I'm gonna come to this pink one and I'm gonna hit duplicate, and I'm going to make this a different color. You don't have to, but just to show you guys what I'm doing. And again, I'm going to right click, send to back, and I'm going to line these 2 up as close as I can. And I'm going to unlock it, and then I'm not going to change the width because I want this side and this side to line up perfectly so that we'll be able to line it up onto the wood round and not have to measure too much. So the only thing I'm gonna have to change is the height because I don't need to waste all this vinyl. So now I am going to actually make the stencil. So I'm going to just highlight the pink rectangle and the circle. So now you can see, or excuse me, the square. So now you can see that the font and the square are highlighted and the slice button has lit up. So we're going to hit slice. It always takes a second, the larger the project. So now you have all these slice results. So this pink rectangle is your actual stencil, so we want that. We don't need the extra pieces from the slice. So this is the bottom part of your stencil. We're going to come up to this one and we're going to highlight both of them, and then see the slice lit up. So we're going to hit slice, and we don't need that piece. We do need this. All right, so now you have your two stencils that are going to line up perfectly, which is great. So now we're going to come over to this one, and this one was just attached. So I'll show you when we draw our square or rectangle around this one. Now, this is the difference between welding and just attaching. So these two texts are attached. When I go to highlight both the rectangle, the box, and the font, the slice button does not light up. And that is because you're trying to cut technically 3 layers, which to slice you can only do 2. So I'm going to click on our fonts, and I'm going to come down to the weld button and hit weld. Now it is one piece right here. When I go to highlight them again, now the slice button lights up. So we are good to go. I'm going to hit slice, and we don't need that. We don't need this one, but we do need this. So this is our other stencil. So we have our 3 stencils and we are ready to make it. So we're gonna come over here to make it. And because our vinyl is longer than like the 12 by 12, it's longer than 12 inches, we have to use a 24-inch cutting mat, which is perfectly fine. So we're gonna hit OK, and I just wanna show you, you have 1 stencil on this mat, you have another stencil on this one, and this is the small one, the 12 by 12. And then you have your other stencil on the other 12 by 24 mat. So now we can continue to cutting our stencil. I hope you all enjoyed part 1 of making a wood round sign. If you plan on making your own wood round sign, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys plan on making. And next week will be part 2. So we are going to apply the stencil to the wood round and paint it and finish it up. So I will see y'all next week for part 2. Give this video a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.